The news and views expressed herein are the sole property of Kenosha Today. Certain portions of this program may be unsuitable for children, sensitive adults, small animals, and the general public. Viewer discretion is advised. Well, Uncle Scottie, what do you think? Are we ready to do this?
Let's kick start it.
Okay.
One, two, three, four.
Good morning, everybody. This is Uncle Scottie Barter, along with my co-pilot on our way to Space Station X this afternoon, astronaut Elmo.
To the moon, Alice.
Snyder's here. We welcome you to the May 30th edition of the Kenosha Today Saturday Morning Breakfast Club. Astronaut Elmo, first of all, I want to thank you for offering to hold my hand during the lift-off. Snuggle up, sweetheart.
I'm not cleaning your boxer shorts, though.
Yeah. We are coming to you live and local from this morning from the Barter Manor studio, which we're going to be calling home here indefinitely, unless we get a call to go on the road. But this has been working out okay. So, and when
Hopefully we get
everybody-
outdoors pretty soon. So
Yeah, we can just go out on the patio.
That's right.
We are the chipmunks will have to worry about it. We are streaming live across the sunny and kind of cool cornfields of the Midwest this morning. Looks like it's going to warm up a little bit. We are streaming live to everyone all around the world. Hey, when we get up there at the space station, those Ruskies, they're going to love this, right?
Oh, yeah.
I still don't understand. We'll have to talk about that trip. We are brought to you this morning by our major sponsors, Barter's Financial Planning Services and Union Park Tavern, along with a host of other very fine local businesses. Elmo and myself remain committed to the Kenosha area, and we will continue to broadcast live and local, bringing you the most up-to-date in news, weather, sports, and entertainment. If you want to watch the replay, you just have to click. Explain this again. Some people are just, they lost it. Where's the link? There is no link. You just
Sure
go-
there is.
Oh, where's it?
You can go to our Kenosha Today with Scott Barter Facebook page, and there's a look. Just
Oh,
click
oh,
on the
okay.
graphic, it'll
That's
take you
right.
right there. So
That's right. I forgot that. Or you can just go to Kenosha Today Breakfast Club.com, and it's right there too, right?
No, there is no Kenosha Today Breakfastclub.com. I don't know. I don't know if Mike's putting it on there. So
I think well, you can find it. It's really quite simple.
it's beyond my control.
And everybody can now sign up with the thousands of our fans who have joined the Kenosha Today Nation. Like us on Facebook. Our phone number, as you can see, 262-597-3020. Take your phone calls concerning anything you want to talk about. It is only 66 degrees here in the Kenosha Today Nation
It's
this
quite
morning.
pleasant out there.
Yeah, not a whole lot of humidity. It's supposed to be like that for the next, well, through the weekend. For those that earn the money, the stock market closed at 25,383. We had a gain of about 602. We had some really good days before. I'm not sure how this. I don't follow this China thing. What that's going to do, positive or negative on anything.
I was busy yesterday. I really didn't look into it yet. So.
It dropped a little bit, but we're still averaging over 25,000. And for those that think the stock market's the key to our economy, I guess that's good. And so from the pandemic room, Protest Saturday starts today. Now, I mean, we're going to get into this, but everybody's protesting everything.
Right.
I mean, I get some of the stuff, and we're gonna get to some of the. Well, I think they should protest, but again, this afternoon at 3:33, I believe it is, they're going to launch. And the problems that they're running into, if you follow this, is it rains every day in Florida
Right.
in the month of, in the summertime at just about this time. So
Afternoon showers about every day.
and it dumps the rain and then it just goes on off. I guess it's the humidity and over the land.
Well, it's not really the rain. They said if there's lightning within 10 miles of the launch pad, they will scrap it.
So which they had to, and apparently when I followed this the other day, they don't start fueling this thing until they absolutely know they're going. Unlike the shuttle, which, was already had fuel in it.
Right.
So, at any rate, we'll have to see how that goes. I'm not really sure they're going to be up there for 4 months, apparently. And so I guess the two Americans are the Russians going to stay while these guys are there for the whole time? Do you know?
Yeah, I think so. Well, they switch them off. There's usually 4 guys up there, so these guys are coming up. I think they brought the other Americans back already. But they'll put them up, and then at some point they'll bring another 2 Russians up there and flip these guys.
They should
Switch
have sent 2 Russian women.
Whoa!
Imagine
Stuck in the space station like that?
To haven't shaved their arms or under their armpits for a couple months. Shower with a friend. Well, one of the things we're talking about that was canceled just apparently in the last day or two was the Kenosha Unified School District canceled the graduation ceremonies that were scheduled to be on in the end of July. And here it is, they have at least 7 weeks. And why are you keeping this, away from these kids? I mean, they lost, for those that played spring sports, they lost all of that. For those who were in winter sports, they lost most of that.
Well, even the academics, they lost, the last 3 months of the year.
I don't know how they're going to how they decided the state was supposed to issue some ruling on how they were going to figure out their grade point. But here's the sign that was these students were protesting. We can go to the beach, and I can't walk across the stage.
Right.
I mean, and it's the same thing in Michigan. That time when the governor banned everything, says, I can smoke weed, I can smoke grass in Michigan. I just can't cut my grass.
Right. Well, you can now.
So, yeah, but I applaud these kids, and as long as they did it civil, and that's your right to protest, and I concur. If you're threatened by this virus, don't go. They'll send you your diploma. But for those that think, 13 years for what? I concur. Just let them do it. Here's some good news that we received.
Hey, yeah.
The Summers Parade, 4th of July Parade on Saturday, the 4th, is on. I got this confirmation, okie dokie here, and I called, and the issue was because they pride themselves on throwing candy, and we used to give away flags. Well, they said the parade is still on, and I applaud them. There's only the other one that's going to be is in
Union Grove.
Yep. Racine canceled, Kenosha canceled, and even the Bristol Progress Days canceled. I think our community needs something like this. And for 1.25 miles, you can space yourself out along Highway E. There's plenty of spaces to do that. And so...
except for Tina's, that'll be packed.
Yeah. So what the issue is, and nobody can give me an answer, they haven't yet, is can we throw candy? I suppose that would be not a nice thing to do. Mm. But we had some, at the production meeting yesterday afternoon, we had some great suggestions on what we could do. Elmo?
Well, I suggested this last year, that we should just go to Menards and get a couple of 40-pound bags of gravel and throw that at the snot-nosed kids that are on the side. So
that's the sensitivity right here. Or the other suggestion was we just buy popsicles and just have every kid take a lick.
Yeah, that's right. That was K-Dog's idea.
Yeah. So we're not, we're looking forward to that. I'm hoping that they stay with this, because I think our whole community in southeastern Wisconsin, the thing should be packed, and they need something of this. Everything else we're going to get into this, just about going to be canceled. Mm-hmm. So Major League Baseball, it doesn't look good because the owners gave the Players Union a proposal, and it had one of the biggest things, it had the sliding pay scale. And for those that would, let's say they were going to make $15 million, they're the ones that get clipped the worst.
Yep.
Well, the owners got themselves into this, and the fans went along with it. If you want to pay $12 for a beer and $100 for a seat, well, it's going to be altogether different when baseball does come back.
Right.
And I always said this is God's way of this thing got way out of hand. It's pro sports, and basketball is contemplating going at the end of July with who's ever there would just start their playoffs. But you got all these major sports, and basketball in July in an empty auditorium. I don't think that's going to fly either.
Now, Scott, I just wrote an article. This is what we really need to bring back is back in the 1800s when baseball was just getting started, organized baseball. They had what was known. Well, the guy that started the National League was a very Puritan type guy. no games on Sunday, no selling beer at the park, and he had strict rules for the players outside as far as their conduct went. And
Then Babe Ruth came along.
oh, this is way before him.
Oh.
This is 1882.
Yeah. Abner Doubleday.
What eventually became the Cincinnati Reds was kicked out of baseball for serving beer at the ballpark, and they got together with a bunch of other teams, including what is now the Chicago White Sox and the New York Mets were in there too, and they formed the American Association, which allowed games on Sunday and drinking at the park and drinking by the players during the game. So,
And then Babe Ruth came along some years later and started drinking.
right, and it became known as the Beer and Whiskey League. So I think we should
right.
start that up again, and maybe that'll solve some of the problems with baseball.
Yeah, I'll be the National League, you be the American League, and
Right.
we'll have our players. I'm not so certain we want to give Captain Mike a bat. Somebody get hurt.
He's going to be the umpire.
Yeah. You prop him up like a weekend of Bernie's and see if he can stay awake. So anyway, some of the big problems baseball is going to have, is other than the salaries, is the travel and the rosters. How many? What happened to the minor leagues? It looks like the minor
I
leagues
heard
are
they
just-
laid everybody off.
Yeah, and whether they are considered free agents or not,
Yep.
I'm not sure, because like this Gavin Lux, who ended up in the World Series with the Dodgers, I'm sure he has a big league contract.
Yep.
So he's pretty well protected. But for somebody who is, let's say if it was a year ago when he was in AA or AAA, and if all of a sudden the Dodgers spend all these millions of dollars on a number one pick, and now he's going to go to somebody else, the highest bidder, I think that's, well, we'll have to see how that
We'll
works
see what
out.
happens.
Yeah. And the Wisconsin State Fair canceled for the first time in 75 years.
No cream puffs for you.
Yeah, you don't need to go up there and have all that juice, coming down and fill up on all those calories. They would,
Get kicked out of the pig barn.
God, how many people they would draw? Hundreds of thousands for the 10 days or whatever it is. 11 days, August 6th to the 16th. I don't understand why they'd have to cancel it. It's so far out. And we're going to challenge our own.
Well, the whole thing is, they got to start putting stuff together now.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So,
The
so
acts and-
do we scrap it, or do we spend all this money and take a risk? That's what they.
Well, it's the same thing with the baseball owners. Some of them are saying, "Hey, I can't afford to pay you guys in front of and have no revenue coming in, and especially
Well,
in a small-
they have TV
well,
revenue, but then
in a small market like Milwaukee, it can't be all that much
Nope.
compared to New York and the Cubs, for example. But
Mm-hmm.
there's some owners are saying it's better for me to cancel the season than to ante up and go into debt for this again.
Yep.
So, but I'm hoping that at least the Kenosha County Fair will continue, at least for the kids. We talked last week. I mean, those kids put in a lot of work. If you don't want to let anybody in, at least let them show their cow or pigs or whatever, their chickens, whatever they're going to try to sell. So 124 years, the first time. And then the other thing was canceled, the Boston Marathon that was supposed to be put off till September. Now that's completely canceled. The 124 years history of the Boston Marathon. Here's a picture, Elmo, you probably saw. There's a picture of me at the starting thing when I was one of these early guys here. You see how prime and
you're the
buff I
guy
was?
with the jock strap on the outside.
Yeah, right. With the orange shoes. It says Fredo across the front. But that was it was supposed to be mid-September. You don't have to cancel that now. Let it run through the streets. Again, sometimes this cure is becoming worse than the virus itself.
You know what they could do? They could really have it up in Minneapolis and just put a finish line there and have all the rioters run through it. I think there's an idea.
That's a sad situation that all across the country now. I get the thing. The guy he's charged, and you have to let the legal. They had riots up there last night, and they're burning everything down.
You still are.
And I read online this morning where one business owner is saying, I was going to go out of business anyway.
Anyway,
Just
let
let
it
it burn, and
They'll collect the insurance.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
And here's how bad this has gotten across the world. Prostitutes are calling for a reopening in the brothels in Germany. I guess, Elmo, gas up the tour bus. Pack up your lederhosen and we're headed for Berlin.
There's a travel ban to Europe right now. So.
Oh, well, we came across this, and I didn't have enough time to print it out. Meadows Country Club in Madison This has a unique situation.
Bennett's Meadowood Country
Yeah.
Club.
Explain to me. It's in Madison, very liberal city, but go ahead.
Well, they have smut and eggs. They show pornos all over. They have in all their TVs on Saturday and Sunday mornings from 6 a.m. until noon, and they've been doing this for 43 years there. And so they just got their license renewed. They did have a live show there. With apparently with some girls there that allowed the patrons to lick whipped cream off their bodies and
Well, you got to have a well-rounded
amongst
breakfast.
other things.
Yeah,
So
you have to have a well-rounded
the
breakfast.
city council in Madison kind of looked down and reluctantly renewed both their liquor and adult entertainment license. But I don't think they'll be having another live show. But you can still go up there and watch the pornos. So.
Well, what better way to have a stack of?
Well, actually, Madison is still shut down, so I don't think you can go in and do it right now.
Oh, Dane County is.
Yep.
Did that go?
No, the city of Madison is.
Oh, just the city.
Just the city. Yep.
Well, later. How?
So we'll have to delay that road trip.
Okay. Well, we could still. Can we order out and pick up and deliver? But going back to this, the brothels in Germany, that's considered essential business in most cases.
In your case, at least.
Yeah, it's my only hope. And then 7 bar and restaurant workers tested positive for COVID-19 here in Kenosha County after a busy weekend, which last weekend was Memorial Day.
You notice they never say where they were.
Well, that would put the people out of business.
Probably, but are you really protecting the public if you don't disclose where this place is at?
Now that's,
You make them shut down for a couple of days and sterilize the place. And
I got to believe it's a big place because 7 in one.
it doesn't even say they're all at the same place.
Oh, that's right. You know what? They made it sound like. So we've seen a 20% spike in COVID-19 since the safer at home order.
Yeah,
ended.
7 more. Okay,
7 more. But look at the money that's now
pouring in.
and we've seen it.
Look at that production meeting yesterday. There were 3 teachers from
Yeah.
Illinois with about 17 kids with them that were there.
Yeah.
And they had to come up here and go to the beach. That's what they did.
And over the weekend, in my travels to like down at the boathouse, for example, half the cars in there were from Illinois.
That's right.
So if you want to come up and spend your money, hey, cha-ching. We
Yep.
got some making up to do. And that case yesterday with all those snot-nosed little kids from Illinois screaming and hollering. But the 3 moms were from teachers laid off.
Yep,
and
yep.
So anyway, we're glad to have them. And they were kind of well behaved, a little noisy.
A little loud, but
Yeah.
for our tastes.
So since March, a total of 1,000 people have tested positive. 24 people have died. 17, we got a phone call?
No.
Oh, 17 of the 24 were over the age of 65. Well, I'm sorry that a person passes away, but every day in the paper, I read the obituaries and that's the first thing I do when I go look at a newspaper. As long as my name's not there, I guess I'm good to go for the rest of the day. But
Speaking of which, 1 year ago today, we lost Mr. Bjorn.
oh, was it today?
Today,
Oh.
yep. So
Boy, the years went fast. He was, God rest his soul. I wonder how he'd be taking this when on a lockdown.
Yep.
It's 1 year ago today, huh?
well, he had some issues anyway.
Yeah.
So if he would have got this, that probably would have
I
been
think
it
he
anyway.
would have been 72, I think, if I recall right. Missed, very well missed. Another thing that's going on downtown, if you haven't followed this or you're not aware, is we have a harbor market that's been there for a good number of years. It's always been along 2nd Avenue. And it's been a very good draw. People have come from all over the area to go down there. And it's run by Mr. Forgiani, Ray Forgiani. And the city graciously, years ago, put in $47,000 of electrical outlets on the east side of 2nd Avenue. So for those vendors that need electricity, he charges them accordingly. But there's been apparently a rift between his board and himself. So this other one is going to be called, what's the name of it? Oh, Kenosha Public Market is going to be opening on basically Saturdays and pretty close to the same time they are. It's going to be kitty corner from, where the stage for peanut butter and jam is? Between there and kitty corner, on
The grassy knoll.
what we call the grassy knoll, and they're going to let the vendors keep their cars with them, and there should be enough space. And it had to go. It passed one committee, and so our buddy Snowflake Begdala says he's against it. And why should you be against it? It's competition.
Right.
Why, do you
It's
draw
just
more people?
You draw more people down there.
They don't bat an eyelash when a McDonald's goes in on one corner. Right across the street, you got a Kentucky Fried and a
chicken,
Burger King. Come on.
Taco Bell, they're all right there. So
And look, competition is good, and the strong will survive. And I'm not sure if this Kenosha public market has 2 more weeks, and then they should get their permits. And I know the harbor market was concerned, as city officials are, because of the closeness down on 2nd Avenue. And there was some talk of letting them space it out and come up 56th. Well, you know what? I like this Kenosha public market concept because it's right there on 6th Avenue. And
it's right on the water too.
yeah. So you know, that was always the big problem that the downtown merchants had along 6th Avenue and 7th Avenue was, you know, the market's way over there. You know, once you're going to bring people downtown. Hey,
Yeah, it's really just the north end of downtown, the next
Right.
block north. So.
and now that the trolley is not running, or you know what? I think there's supposed to be a list of reopenings. I know the Muni Golf Course is supposed to open on Monday, and the beaches were open all weekend. And I didn't know that all these people were coming down. Simmons Island was packed. I didn't understand why all the cars were there.
Beautiful weather,
Oh
too.
yeah. So we're going to see how that goes. And well, here's a great concept of staying at home. Just drive through the downtown or the uptown area.
Yep.
I mean, we've had between Racine, Kenosha, just about every night this week, there's been shootings. You know, 5 people, 4 people,
Yep.
7 people, and
Well, look at Chicago. Weather warms up and it just happens. So.
they're shooting. And right now, to my knowledge, maybe only one person in Racine has actually been killed. But you know, if you guys want to kill yourself, why don't you have a gunfight out at the out in the countryside, and don't take a chance on risk on killing somebody, some innocent person. And that's what's going to happen. As I sit here this morning, because it happens every place else, some little
Look in Milwaukee. They'll be shooting and a bullet goes through the wall of a house and
Yeah.
hits a little kid and kills
That's-
it. So
that's
that
right.
happens way too often.
Yeah.
So.
and I'm not sure I guess it's the law of the streets and gangster mentality, but I just be careful going after sundown, going through 60th, 22nd, 52nd, that whole uptown area. And I know it's all
The Central City.
Central City, yeah. It's all gang related. And you got, I don't know how many gangbangers we have in Kenosha. I heard up to 5,000, could be 8. And you've got from all races. And so, you know, it's drugs and whatever. But be careful. Don't take an innocent child. Otherwise, we'll have more protests. The city administrator says he's only been here a year, and everybody goes, "We didn't even know this guy existed."
Yeah.
I mean,
Who's this guy?
Randy Hernandez. He's leaving after only a year. I think he took over from Frank Passetti. And so this comes a week. This announcement actually it was announced a couple weeks ago, but just became made public. And he's going to go into business with a family member apparently. And this comes only a week ahead of or behind the city of Racine's administrator, who resigned to go into business by himself. Again, one step ahead of an indictment. I'm not accusing anybody.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm kidding. It's the when they said I want to spend more time with my family.
That's
usually
it. Yeah.
I applaud the guy. So now we're going to have this search. This guy makes $147,000. Makes more than almost twice as much as the mayor. But this is the guy that really runs the show, and the mayor is there. And yes,
Maybe we can get
politically-
Captain Mike that job.
Oh boy. You know what? Let's say we offer it to Cy Costabile. It says, where can I just pick up my check? I mean, I don't have to do a lot, do I? You know, we're spanning the globe and going out to Lake Geneva, and they have new parking kiosks that are installed in downtown Lake Geneva at the tune of the 330,000.
Will they take credit cards now on those things?
Apparently they will.
Yep.
that's the only way they could do it before. And, $330,000, that's the equivalent of 5 Kenosha trolley cars. That's how much that costs. And the motorists can use dollar bills to feed the meter. And you have to have you just got to remember your license plate, be prepared with a credit card, or coins to pay for the parking. So 50 new parking kiosks. And I think they had just some years ago put these other ones in where instead of feeding the old-time meter with quarters, they just got rid of these new ones, and you have to put a sign on your windshield. Or something.
Well, you put the thing in and it spits out a receipt, and you put that on your dashboard.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you, that's a lucrative job if you're a meter maid in downtown Lake Geneva. By the way, if anyone wants to call us, 262-597-3022. Also in Lake Geneva, I should say, the Ironman 70.3 Musclemen race is postponed. I was getting ready. I was so finely tuned.
Muscle Man?
Yeah. It was supposed to be again in July. And it was July 19th. Just when my training was peaking too. I mean, I thought I was all primed and ready to go for that. You want to take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll have to read a little weather.
Sure,
here,
we can do that.
We'll be back in probably a minute or so. Good morning to everybody. This is Uncle Scottie Barter, along with my co-pilot for this afternoon's flight out of Cape Canaveral. And welcome to the Kenosha Today Saturday Morning Breakfast Club. It is 28 minutes after the hour here in the Kenosha Today Nation, bringing you the best in news, weather, sports, and entertainment. Again, we invite you to join the thousands of our fans who have already signed up and liked us on Facebook. We are brought to you by our major sponsors, Barter's Financial Planning Services, along with Union Park Tavern and a host of many other very fine local businesses. We invite you to give us a call, 262-597-3020. If you have anything you want to talk about or protest, everybody else is protesting. So, hey, today's radar weather is sponsored by Capo Web Design, which is a locally owned web design and development business here in Kenosha, specializing in web design, development, maintenance, site services, and support, who actually designed and is currently developing our site, KenoshaToday.com. For more information, you can visit www.capowebdesign.com. And so from the Kenosha Today weather deck here at Barter Manor, Sunrise Sammy is missing in action, so we're not sure what she's out doing this morning. But at any rate, it looks like Elmo, it's going to be a wonderful weekend. Very low humidity, maybe close to 70. Plenty of sunshine for today, tomorrow, and into next week. And we are going to have a summer eventually. And when it gets really nice,
They're going to be in the 80s one day next week.
yeah. And a lot of things in Kenosha are reopening. The golf course in Muni is supposed to open on Monday, and some of the other parks. And I think it's Little League Baseball, and some of that are going to open up around June 15th, I heard, and softball leagues. So if anybody is playing softball these days, not a whole lot going on there these days. So anyway, we've been talking about a number of topics, and one of the things that's apparently going to happen, the state election board in Wisconsin has going to send out $2.7 million to registered voters absentee ballot applications. So if you're a registered voter and you're going to get one of these applications, you know, it used to be if you voted absentee and when it goes back to, you could either do it by election or you can say permanent. I mean, that's the way I signed up.
You have to be disabled and homebound, technically. But now they're saying that anybody that is not vaccinated for the COVID-19 virus is considered disabled.
Oh, so my mental problems don't have nothing to do with this?
No. Yeah, that the permanent one, you're supposed to be, permanently homebound or in a nursing home if you're not dead in one of those already. So,
Well, maybe it was
in Chicago, even if you are dead, that's okay. So that's.
That's where the yard signs go in the vote.
Well, that's what I said. How do you know when you're surefire way to tell you're in Chicago? They got all the campaign signs in the cemeteries. So that's.
I must have been over 65 when I first signed up, so it's been 5 years, and because I don't recall that I had to prove anything. But at any rate, mine is permanent unless I elect not to do that. So again, these are just applications for a person to sign up to be.
Well, you know what the other thing is too. If you put that permanently disabled status on there, you don't have to furnish a photo ID.
Yeah,
So you could have Joe Schmo get a hold of a whole bunch of these things, put different people's name on them, sign up, fill out all the ballots, fill out 100 ballots himself, and
don't you have to
send them
prove
in.
that you're disabled by some?
Nope.
You don't have to
You just
prove it
mark.
in?
Well, you didn't. You're mentally disabled, but that's.
Well, they when they saw my name on the application, they just assumed that they. But I think I had to. As I recall, I did have to send in a copy of my driver's license. But
Yep.
I applied over in the mail, and nobody checked
Yeah,
to
so did I.
see if.
Well, no, when they put the voter ID law in, that went back and forth. It was first of all, send a photocopy of your ID next time. You don't need a photocopy of ID. Every court ruling was different,
Yeah.
and finally stood up. So.
Well, I guess it's going to be whether you like it. I don't. Nobody's presented evidence that there's been voting fraud. I'm sure there has.
Oh, it's widespread. What the hell are you looking at?
Okay.
Ballot harvesting, California. Look what they do there.
Oh, okay. That I wasn't aware of.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
Well, all right. It's going to be an issue in some places, but it's governed by every state, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll have to see how that works out. When you say ballot harvesting, what are you referring to?
Well, it's a collection of, instead of mailing in the ballots, people from certain quote unquote organizations go around and collect the ballots from, and if you have it to make, and they say, well, we'll just collect them for you and drop them off or put them in the mail or whatever. By the way, who did you vote for? Or do you need help voting? Can I mark your ballot for you?
You know what?
Okay.
This is going. Yeah, I experienced this firsthand. When I was running in '96, when I ran for mayor, I was going to one of the nursing homes. It was on election day, and here was at the time a poll worker who was at that time the chairman of the Democratic Party here in Kenosha. So these little old ladies are sitting, like he says, what? And he'd point here, and I go, you got to be kidding me. I should have taken a picture, but in '96 I didn't have a cell phone. But yeah, I thought, boy, I didn't say anything. I should have, but oh well.
They found one place, it was a mailbox for an apartment complex, kind of one of those things, the community mailbox that's on a post with all the different boxes on there. The mailman came, he left like 100 ballots sitting on top of the thing. So, hey, you or I could walk along, grab the 100 ballots, forge the signatures, and...
Yeah, it's not a perfect system, obviously, and I was not aware of...
It's totally imperfect. I think they should get, absentee ballot, you need a reason why you can't be there to vote. Otherwise, show up. I don't think the early voting stuff is no good. What happens if there's a major scandal and you've already voted for some other guy?
Well,
I think you can rescind your vote and vote again if you want, but it's a pretty difficult.
Well, you'd have to go down there.
It's a pretty difficult process,
before
right.
the final days. Like before on election day,
Mm-hmm.
probably in Kenosha before 5 o'clock, before the polls actually close.
But other than that, show up on election day.
Yeah.
And if you don't really care or anything like that, you're not going to show up. Well, that's too bad for you. The people that really care about it will show up.
Yep. This was an article in today's, or along the week here. Americans have never liked being told what to do. And it goes to, well, you know what? This article hits.
Gee, I wouldn't know anything about that.
No. People were angered at the stay-at-home orders. Well, for a short time, couple weeks, but when it extended into 2 months in some places longer.
They said we need 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and all of a sudden after that, hey, this is kind of fun bossing people around.
Yeah.
I like being a jerk. So
and here's the examples. Back in 1791, when they presented the whiskey tax, and that was started the Revolutionary War, and then when they had to distill grain and things way back at the Whiskey Rebellion, Americans historically, going way back 200 years, didn't like to be told what to do.
That's right.
And when King George came across and said he's going to have these taxes, they said, no, we're not going to do this.
that's how America got started.
Yeah. Rebellion and, the protests that I've seen with the guns and the AK-47s, I'm not for that. But you're right.
They're protecting the places so they don't get looted. That's with the guys with the guns.
Well, this is when they protested in front of Madison and out in Michigan and that. When you talk about the looters that we were watching on Fox News yesterday afternoon, the people are protesting and they're looting, and they all got COVID-19 masks on. So
Face diapers.
Face diapers, yeah. So protesting is nothing new, and I just hope that.
The whole thing is it never changes anything. Voting changes things.
Well, here's the thing. He ends up with this: government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
That's right.
And you think about it. If we didn't have the Republicans and Democrats, seems like there's a bigger divide in recent years. I mean, they can't agree on anything. The sun coming up? No, it's going down. And if they would do what is best for everybody and not be the problem.
That's not their job.
What is their job?
Amass money and power.
Oh, well, you know what? You're absolutely right. That's
They don't
exactly
care.
right.
They don't care about us. What the hell?
No, and you
They might tell you they do, but they're a bunch of worthless liars. That's all.
You pass a $2 trillion paycheck protection program that's supposed to help the little person, the small business owner, and what do? They throw in a couple $1 million to renovate the Kennedy Center, and then you have a small business loan, and who gets it? The Los Angeles Lakers get $3 million.
Yep.
And a whole bunch of businesses that are
Laden with fraud.
on the stock exchange. I mean, and for those that haven't gotten your stimulus check, I think everybody's gotten that. That's the refunds, the normal refunds.
Well, the big problem is the unemployment situation. And
Oh, yeah.
they're saying it could be October before people that have been out of work since March will get a check.
And we talked about this. I get the system. The computer system was outdated
No, it wasn't.
in Wisconsin?
Nope.
Oh, well, they're telling everybody that.
That's
Okay.
They're trying to blame Scott Walker for not
Oh.
updating the thing. The problem is they didn't shift workers over there to
That's okay.
to take over that are furloughed and collecting their fat paychecks anyway.
Yeah.
They could have done it, staffed the thing 24/7. They could have got through this, but it's a total foreign concept to our current executive administration in the state of Wisconsin. Nobody there has ever run a business or knows what the hell they're doing.
That's
it.
That is the problem.
That's it.
And normally we would have 35,000 people in a year, maybe in last year before all this nonsense hit, applying for unemployment. Now we got 365,000 and rising.
Right.
That's rising worse than the virus itself. And if they got the money, they better start figuring out a way to do that. And I know for the first time, self-employed people can apply for that. And the initial applications on there were, geez, it would take a person 3-4 hours to figure that out the way they had that on there.
Well, especially you got people that have never applied for unemployment before. They've got
sure.
no idea how this works.
Right.
So-
And so, again, the stimulus money, $2 trillion, and they laden all these bills with all this other nonsense.
Can you spell inflation?
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's already started with food.
Yep. I was telling Elmo at the production meeting, I went and bought gas for the first time in 6 or 7 weeks. And the gas, where you just pay with your card, they eliminated that. And they said that the credit card companies were charging them too much per swipe or whatever it was. In addition, they were going to make everybody go wipe the thing down after every customer. Well, take them out and go in and let the guy swipe it yourself. So.
Pay cash.
I think our economy is doing pretty good myself. I see a lot of people still out and about.
Yeah, for right now, there's gonna be a lot of changes though.
Yeah,
There's gonna, there's gonna be a big paradigm shift. All these big corporations are finding we can have people work at home. We don't have to pay for the brick and mortar. Have come to the office. The people kind of like it. They don't have to pay for the commute, sit in traffic for an hour and a half every day to some of these big cities. Go down there. It just. I've been working at home for a long time, and it's
me too.
Abbott. As long as you got the discipline to do it, and your supervisors have adequate means of monitoring your performance, shouldn't be a problem.
Abbott Lab was the biggest company that 6,000 people in Kenosha would leave here, including my daughter, and have to travel 40 minutes down to the Abbott Park.
Yep.
And she's.
It's a waste of time. Absolute waste.
Yeah.
Productive time.
I wasn't worried about being on the tollway in January and December, and you have that time where you're going to work in the dark, you're coming back in the dark, and the stress on you. Once you get through a couple months of working at home, and you get your routine down, and you learn how to stay out of the refrigerator.
Takes self-discipline. So.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the Mr. Abbotts and the rest of them are finding they can get just as much productivity, if not more, have their people and save the money on all these buildings. So you can.
Well, just think, instead of having to drive there, be at work from 8 to 5 or whatever, stuff like that. If you're given an assignment to do, if you want to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and crank it out, from your house, why not?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think they have to log into their computer.
Yeah.
It's just like a thing. But if you want to log in,
Well, yeah, I know somebody that does that, and that's one thing I can't understand. They have to be logged in and active on the computer during what would normally be their normal business
8 to
hours,
5, right?
And or whatever they are, but because they're monitored. But you need to do this much stuff. As long as you make your numbers, what difference does it make?
That's right. And you think about corporate America, and like K-Dog was working for Modine, and you have all the cubes, and you have the water cooler, and the breaks, and all that.
Well, there's some social interaction that goes in there too.
I get that.
I can see. Well, you got people that are working a team, so to speak. Bring them in once every 2 weeks or something like that, and they can do a face-to-face at that point, and
But all the major news networks, they're all doing what we're doing here. This what we're doing here is the future of. We went from radio, and I think radio is going to be a thing of the past pretty quick.
No, it'll still be around, but
not in the form that we know it. But everything you see is just like you see here, live streaming or podcast, and for us, it's working out fine. And once we catch on a little bit and people find us again, we'll be back to that. But I don't think there's going to be a norm in anything as we used to, right? When people are thinking of going back to the norm. The only thing that's normal is I was looking at my recyclables out here the other day.
yeah, sure.
That's not a pretty sight of what's in the cans and the plastic.
You're familiar with the term rat gun?
Let's talk a little bit about, before we're done, we'll do a top 10. But this, Trump is taking on the social media parts, specifically Twitter, which he's got a big Twitter account, and Facebook and Google, right? Is the other one?
Well, Google
YouTube?
not so much.
Okay.
Yeah, YouTube, which is Google for Alphabet.
Well, you know what? There seems to be, in Twitter's case, if you say something like Trump did, I'm not going to say what he said, and they don't like it, they can flag you or make you take it down, or take it down, right? Now, Zuckerberg from Facebook, he doesn't have that. They use an outside, you can't use anything vulgar in that, but they use an outsource company that reviews all that, and obviously they can't review them all. But what do you think, Elmo? Is this like in the newspaper, the Kenosha News will take them for an example?
Right. Well, there's a difference there. These Twitter and Facebook and YouTube say we're a service. That's all we do. Our content is provided by our subscribers or whatever it is, and we, supposedly if you're a service, you should, other than something that's, violent or, you can't show somebody raping a girl or something or pornographic or but there's other outlets for that.
Plus, they are a private business. I know the Kenosha News is a private business, but
well, they are too. But they say they're a service. But now, when you become on and start editing content and stuff like that, you fall into the point of you're now a publisher, just as a newspaper would be, or a radio station would be, or something like that. Because you're now making judgment upon what the content is that is going on there, which opens you up for legal liability if you,
let's
do
take,
something that somebody feels they can sue you for.
Let's take the news. If they make an error, an unintentional error about something, they always put in a correction.
Yeah, they can put in a correction. Yeah.
Now, like Zuckerberg, he's going. His stance is with Facebook, I don't care. Let's just use the political arena. You can say whatever you want, and nobody has to fact check it. And if you want to say, you were this wealthy or this and that, you don't care.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they're skewing their content towards the owner's political bias. That's the problem.
Well, so what's the solution? Is all this, and I'm thinking Trump.
Well, the solution is now you are open to legal liability for doing that, and the other thing is you're a publisher, and as a service you can say, well, we're totally unbiased in everything. We just let our users put the stuff up there. But now, if you're a publisher,
well,
that's what the editorial page is for.
That's exactly what
it.
I'm going to bring up. Let's go back to the Kenosha News. Kenosha historically has been a Democratic town, and if you wanted to see who the Kenosha News was supporting, they would do their editorial selections on endorsements, and so it's no different than what this is going to happen. My question is Trump? He's going to take on Twitter, and if he wants all of this to go away, that's a big part of him on Twitter. Is he going in the wrong? Is he barking up the wrong tree?
I think it's way too early to tell. I think
okay.
this is a warning shot being fired across the bow. That's all. So that's and the media makes way too he baits these guys a lot. So and just so they go nuts and make idiots out of themselves going nuts. That's how he does it.
After this business with the Twitter thing happened in the morning, he announced this press conference at 2:30. It was supposed to be at 2 o'clock, dealing with how he's going to get rid of China or get out of the WHO or whatever. And he was still tweeting at 20 after 2, 10 minutes before he came out to give us. So the reporters were chomping at the bit for him to take questions because they were going to blast him on this thing.
That's all they do. They don't ask real questions. They're all
he gets done. He says, "Thank you for coming," and walks off. So I think that was a smart thing for him to do because they were going to, whether you agree with that or not, but that's what they were intending on doing.
There was an example. This reporter asked the question. What is an acceptable amount of people to die? Before we do something more serious about this pandemic. And he just said, there's no number that's acceptable to die. We deal with it the best that we can. That's all. And it's a loaded question. And the guy came back and asked it again. They come in there with these loaded questions and
that are given to them probably by their editors.
And they try to solve the gotcha questions. That's it. So.
One of the other problems that people are experiencing is flight cancellations. And right now, I didn't know this. If, let's say, an airline cancels a flight, you are entitled to a refund, period. But some of these airlines, the big ones, are on the downhill side.
Yep.
And what they're trying to do is, use your money and give you, hopefully you'll take a voucher or a credit, something for at least a year. And so they can't afford to give, if they have to start giving everybody cash refunds, they'd be gone next
Yep.
week. So if you have a problem where they canceled your flight, now if you cancel it, that's a little different. A lot of them will get vouchers to use for a year. But if they cancel it, you're supposed to get a refund. And, they're just hoping on you buying themselves some time, and while you try to get frustrated and have to get a lawyer, and, whatever else you have to do. The stock market, we talked about that. Andrew Cuomo rang the bell the other day. It's good news for the Lakers. They're still trying to figure out how to pay their 30.
They should take that mallet they use for the bell and whack him in the head with it, I think. But
Well, at least they're bringing people back instead of buying.
yeah, they're back on the floor.
Back on the floor.
Yeah.
You talk about pandemic. I mean, that's chaos on the floor of the stock exchange.
Well, it's not like it. It's not like it used to be, where they got the slips of paper and they're throwing. Everybody's sitting at a computer now. That's all it is. So it's not. It's not that wild.
Well, what else do you want to talk about, Elmo?
Yeah, I don't
Union
know.
Park's back open.
Yep, very nice in there.
Remodeling.
It's still got some finishing up to do. So, but they're.
And again, I wear a mask. Well, I got K-Dog got me one of those 95. It actually, you can breathe through it instead of this other rug I had. And I wear one when I just go to the grocery store or just out and about. But I'm not wearing one to go down to the boathouse.
Well, it's like I said. I've seen guys riding bicycles wearing them. Riding. How are you going to get near anybody?
Just pull their mask on.
Smoking a cigarette. Yeah.
And if you don't want to go there, you don't go there. I mean, it's, if you feel threatened or something.
I hardly go anywhere anyway, so it doesn't really bother me.
But like, let me get back and recap here. We are going to be in the 4th of July parade, and that's going to be it's on Saturday.
I think the Wienermobile's been grounded, though. We did try to.
Yeah,
get
we
that,
did
so
make an application this next week. I'll see if I can track that down. Whatever happened there.
I think they probably canceled all the visits for the whole summer, probably.
Or we'll end up with 5 of them. See how it goes. So as we're all getting a little older, we're trying to see if we can maybe not walk and try to get some kind of trailer to pull. And
We're going to get Elmo's gruel wagon. We can fling gruel at all the little kids. That's good.
let's do the top 10.
All right, you get the bell here.
Written in our home office on the patio here at Barter Manor, this week's top 10 thought-provoking category. Top 10 reasons social distancing just ain't working. Number 10, fact-checking at White House press briefings no longer required. Number 9, trolley drivers refuse to work from home. Number 8, Trump still has a Twitter account. Number 7, not enough perverts keeping their hands in themselves. Number 6, Dr. Fauci stays ahead of the curve by paying Stormy Daniels $130,000 in hush money. Number 5, Uncle Scottie only able to have a soft opening. I don't know what's that about. Number 4, after sanitizing your private parts, you rinsed off with a shot of Clorox. Number 3, almost impossible to get a lap dance on the border. Number 2, they still
Oh, we have a caller.
insist to pay off my bar tab. And the number 1 reason, I'll come back with this. Let's take the caller and I'll come back with the number 1 at the end. The big finish. Oh, I got to get to this one.
All right, we're on.
Good morning, you're in Kenosha today.
Scott, how are you guys?
Dennis?
We're good.
This is he.
Hey, Dennis.
Where have
I
you?
survived so far.
Yeah?
Yep.
Well, God love you. How's the missus?
She's at it for the first day back at her health club today.
Oh. Hey, I don't know if...
Now,
Go ahead.
no, they can't use the showers, so she's going to hop in the pool before she comes home.
Boy, you put a woman in a lap of luxury, Dennis, and she
Yep.
expects the world. Hey, we are in the 4th of July parade in Summers this year. They're going to have it.
I'll be with you.
Okay.
Cool.
We're probably not going to be able to throw candy at snot-nosed little kids, but Elmo's got some I tell him, Elmo, it's going to be a bag of gravel. He wants.
I don't know if I could. Has Candy lost any weight? I don't know if I could pick her up to throw her.
Boy, some things just haven't changed since I last talked to you, right?
We still got to work on the sedan chairs with the girls with bikinis carrying us down the road. I think that's the.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, if we find girls in bikinis, We ain't going to be in the parade. We'll take another route. We're going to go up and down here in my backyard.
You better make sure the girls that are in the parade have the right directions on where to park, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that was a problem. Yeah, because we ain't making no unnecessary trips this year, so.
Are we supposed to, we're supposed to park by the same place, you said, right?
I'll get to you. I just
Yeah, give me a call. You got my,
yeah,
my phone number.
and we normally met here, but if you want to meet us at Summers Elementary, leave our cars there, and then we have to go around this back route to get over to Shoreland. So I'll let you know where we're going to meet. How's that?
Yeah, just give me a call. Yeah, you guys look good. I get to watch you while I talk to you now.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I can, well, yeah, keep an eye on you. That way I know while you're talking to me if you're making faces.
That's real classy, wasn't it? You know what's happening is over the years. Oh yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
He lives for this. But Elmo's done a great job putting this together, and we've tweaked it and put these monitors back here and closed some windows and some drapes and
Still got some more tweaking
yeah.
to do. So.
We're still the phone is.
No, you guys are very knowledgeable too. There's a lot of you're up on what's going on because I'm trying to keep up on it too, and you are spot on with what's happening out there.
Hey, are you going to watch Elmo and I when we take off from Cape Canaveral this afternoon?
That I can't make. I'll wait till you return.
We may not come back.
Where's the splashdown? Where's the splashdown?
At Union Park Tavern. Hey, you know what's going to happen?
Did you put that name tag up there for me?
Yeah, he did that.
There's a little delay here. Okay,
That's the only problem is there's like just a couple second delay.
about a 20-second delay.
Yeah, but at any rate,
Yeah, it's a couple delay. Yeah.
there's 2 Russian guys up there now, and when we get there, they're going to be replaced by 2 Russian women, Helga and Vladimir or something like that. So we're going to probably.
When they meet you guys, they won't be Russian anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell them to take their time.
That's my line. So take my time. Nothing I like better than a chunky Russian woman that hasn't shaved in a couple months.
Hey, we get to go back to our church today.
Hey.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah, we get to go 25%. They're representing 150 people get to be in our church. And we had to make reservations.
Oh, with God or with God?
I don't want to make that final reservation.
No.
That's right. It says you're a couple days early, then you know you're in trouble. So.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad you called.
Yeah, I'm sorry I haven't been able. I tried getting you guys a few weeks ago and then the week after, and I couldn't. For some reason, I couldn't get you. I don't know what it was.
Well, easiest way is to go to the Kenosha Today with Scott Barter Facebook page, because I put a link up every week for the show.
Go to the Facebook page.
Well, I went there today, and I just went on Google, or the regular way I tried to go. So I typed in Kenosha Today live stream, and I got right to you.
Good.
There you go. See? All right, Dennis. Talk to us.
All right, you guys
keep up.
stay healthy.
Hey, you want to hear my number one reason that social distancing ain't working? You're going to love this. This 400 hippies from Woodstock singing, 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. 5, 6, 7, open up your pearly gates. I ain't got time to wonder why. Whoopee, we're all gonna die. Remember that? Country Jonah Fish.
Yeah, well, definitely. And I'll tell you what, I just want to make one comment being in law enforcement before I retired. I cannot see what's going on in Minneapolis. I mean, obviously, the guy acted on his own. He wasn't representing law enforcement. He was
Exactly.
a total idiot, and I hope he gets what he deserves. And the other 3 knuckleheads that watched him, deserve the same thing. But I don't see how you let somebody burn down your police station.
No.
Yeah. And how did the guys that are in the station? They must have just evacuated out the back door, and I don't know. They just gave up the fort.
I know. I can't understand it. Well, they probably all had to rush out and arrest somebody that was too close to somebody else on their front lawn or something.
Yeah.
Not social distance.
Hey, let me. There was a couple things. We can go over a couple more minutes. One business owner was going to be gone. He wasn't going to be able to come back, and so they were burning his store down. He's going, burn, baby, burn, because I got to collect the insurance, and I was going to go out anyway. Hypothetically, let's say in this case that the medical examiner's report comes back, and the guy died of something else, like a medical issue, because he apparently had some. I'm not hypothetically. Then what happens? You burn the rest of the town down?
Well, that's what I don't get. The whole thing here about getting angry is it's a stereotype. The African American race is tired of being stereotyped. They are stereotyping all police by the actions of this one idiot.
Yep.
Well, that's exactly right, Dennis. I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, the whole thing is, even the police are saying, what this guy did is, obviously wrong. So what are you protesting against? These people agree with you. So
Yeah.
it doesn't get
And
any.
I got news for you. I can bet any money that politics was involved in his hiring and his retention on the force.
Yep.
18 violations, and he stayed on there. He was hooked up with somebody that protected him.
Hey, you hear who let him off one time? When she was DA of
Klobuchar.
Klobuchar let him off, yeah.
There goes another political career right down the tubes, huh?
Exactly. They're finding out about all these presidential wannabes like Klobuchar and
That's
all
right.
kinds of skeletons in their closet. But I'll tell you what, I always thought the guy was an idiot, but I got to give Ellison a little credit for, what he said.
Well, thank you for your comments, fellow comrade.
Hey, one last thing.
Sure.
Milwaukee, when I went to bed, they had still been peaceful. I don't think anything happened overnight in Milwaukee, right?
The last time
They had a protest, but there was no violence.
they were trying to get, it must be around Miller Park, and from National Avenue, they were trying to get onto Highway 43, and they were protesting a shooting of somebody from 2 months ago. They're kind of the same thing, and I think that guy has actually been charged with first-degree murder.
Yep.
And anyway, they were trying to get onto 43, and they wouldn't. They blocked it off and didn't let them, and so I think they just turned around and ended it. I don't think there was any violence there, and I'm glad. You're a protest, you can protest, but don't.
I am too. I'm proud of Milwaukee. I'm proud of Milwaukee for not turning into one of these idiotic cities where people think part of a protest is looting.
Yeah.
Well,
Welcome.
Dennis, they say, never let a crisis go to waste. Hey, I need a new big screen TV. I ain't letting this crisis go to waste. So.
Well, anyway, say hi to the.
Unfortunately, the coronavirus crisis has gone to my waist. I put on a few pounds these days.
Well, say hi to the missus, and when she rinses off in the pool, does you towel her off when she gets home?
Well, I hope she drives. I hope she's not soaking wet driving
Her car.
home.
I'd like to hear the conversation she has with the policeman that pulls her over when that deals. So, all right, big boy, I'll get a hold of you when I find out.
Give me a call
All right.
about the parade.
All right, thanks for calling. All
Okay,
right.
thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Nice to hear from him.
Yep.
Well, Elmo, I guess that is going to wrap it up for the May 30th edition of the Kenosha Today Saturday Morning Breakfast Club. We want to thank our sponsors, Barter's Financial Planning Services, Kenosha for Open Honest Government, and Charlie V's Kids for Cancer Foundation. We have been broadcasting this morning from the Barter Manor studio, located on the corner of Happy and What Went Wrong. We also want to invite you to join us on Facebook. Just a reminder that in addition to watching our replays on YouTube, you can still watch us on Spectrum Channel 14, Tuesdays at 5 and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Also, to all our first responders and those in the medical field and those who are truly making a difference during this time of crisis, we sincerely thank you for your efforts, sacrifices, and we owe you all a huge debt of gratitude. And so for Elmo and myself, until we meet again, we thank you for the privilege of your time. Please take care of yourself and each other. I'm Scottie Barter, and have a very safe and pleasant weekend.
Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye.
Dutch Commission. On TV, really look good to me. Looks like in a couple of weeks on Football Magazine.